years through a child safe protection policy here, and we're really wanting to embed the culture so that everybody has an understanding of what that means and how you can be a valuable part of what God's doing here by cultivating a safe culture for all people, but especially for children. And Karina is officially our Child Safe Officer, so she gets the joy of presenting just a little bit more learnings that we've had and some new legislation that has come in for people who work with children, not just churches, but schools and daycares and things like that. So she's going to share some more with us this morning for a short time.
Thank you, Nick. Am I doing my own clicking? Is that yes? That's a yes. Okay, perfect. Good morning, everybody. I do apologise. I have a little bit of a husky voice today. I've been unwell like the rest of us have been, so please just bear with me. So if any of you were here in December, we spoke about our safe culture in churches, and we just wanted to reiterate what we did that day and what we spoke about, as well as give you some really beautiful feedback about that day and some of the lovely data that we have gathered. So basically we talked about our child safe standards, cultural safety, children's voices, safe people and environments, and our responsibilities, policies and reporting. Just give this a go. Here we go. Beautiful. But one of the things that we said was that we didn't want this to simply be a presentation. We wanted everybody to be involved. We wanted child safety to be something that was lived and felt within the culture of our Pine Rivers Vineyard community. Our vision is to love God, love people, make disciples, and caring for children and protecting their dignity, listening to their voices, creating a place where they genuinely belong, and it sits deeply within who we are and our vision. Oh, hang on a minute. Sorry. It's just gone all the way along. Am I going in the wrong direction? I need to go this way to go back. Sorry, everyone. I usually have it clicked for me. I can't do two things at once. I need to go the other way because that's the next thing. Thank you, David. All right. Now that wasn't very professional. Let's go again. All right. So basically, hang on, let me just make sure I'm where I need to be. So the last time we gathered, we talked about the 10 Queensland Child Safe Standards together. We didn't just want our standards to be something that we talked about. We wanted to hold them against our church and ask ourselves some deep questions. I don't know whether any of you remember, but we all had a bit of a chat, and we asked children and we asked young adults and everybody in that community as well as on that day to share with us their thoughts and ideas. And we wanted them to tell us what they think child safety actually looks like within a church environment. So we listened, we asked, and we reflected, and we self-assessed. So that's what is our requirement. We have to be self-assessing ourselves constantly. It's a part of the new legislation. So we sought different perspectives, we listened to children, we listened to young adults, and we considered what families and the broader church community were experiencing. We heard from our children, and it was just beautiful. One of the most beautiful things we heard through this process was that our children experience a genuine sense of belonging here. When children know that they are welcomed and connected, they are more likely to develop trusting relationships with safe adults. It's the safe adults that we're talking about. They are more likely to use their voice and more likely to tell somebody when something doesn't feel right. When every child here knows that they matter, people know me as a child, and that their adults around them will always hear and always listen to them, that is worth celebrating, and that's what we heard that day, which was just beautiful. So what we heard from our young adults, they weren't too keen to talk, but we got a few things out of them. Our young adults also spoke into this process, and what we heard was really encouraging. They told us that they feel heard, listened to, and known, which is also what we call safeguarding. When someone feels safe, it's a safeguarding process. They told us that it was important to them to feel a place of belonging. A safe church isn't simply somewhere young people attend, it is somewhere relationship exists. What we heard from the broader community. We also looked beyond children and young people and listened to what our broader church community were experiencing. What we heard was that people feel they can come to Pine River's Vineyard as they are, which is just beautiful. It is a deep connection of safety. When people experience openness, dignity, respect, and belonging, they are more likely to ask questions, raise concerns, and seek support when they need it. We want people walking through our doors to feel there is room for me here. We also learnt that cultural safety is deeply embedded. Now, cultural safety isn't just from the country that you're from, or if you are First Nations peoples. It's about who you are and what you believe and what makes you feel safe. What we have seen through our self-assessment is that cultural safety isn't something that sits beside what we do. It was beautiful to see. It is woven deeply through how we do church already. It is reflected in how people are welcomed, whose voices are listened to, how we respond to difference, and a willingness to learn about that difference. We continue to self-assess. It's so important that we don't stop here. We continue to listen, learn, change our policies, which Nick has had a lot of time doing, and learn more about how we can do things and how we can continue to really reflect the beauty that we already have in this church that is already a child-safe environment. So, today we're learning about where we're going next. We have to continue to train people, and this afternoon we're having some training. Those of you who have been asked to come along will be learning about all of the new safe culture, our policies and procedures, and anything new that has come along, and just a bit of a refresher to understand some of our new responsibilities. Training isn't something we do just because somebody says we need a certificate. Training is how we turn our values and our intentions into consistent practice. Good intentions aren't enough if we don't know what to do when something happens. We want people at Pine River's Vineyard to feel confident enough to say, I noticed something, a child told me something just didn't feel right. I am not sure whether I should say something, is this okay? And most importantly, we want people to know that they can speak up. So we're learning today about the Reportable Conduct Scheme. Queensland's Reportable Conduct Scheme commenced in July. The scheme provides an additional layer of accountability, independent oversight around how organisations respond to reportable allegations and concerns around workers. Now, those of you who weren't here when we did that first presentation, I guess I just wanted to quickly go back and talk to you about how there was a large Royal Commission across Australia, and it's basically found that people were not speaking up. They were seeing things for many, many years. People wondered whether something might be happening, but they didn't feel quite safe enough. So they said, okay, we need to set a process up to support people to feel safe, to actually speak up and feel comfortable that if something doesn't quite feel right, we can let somebody know. And the Reportable Conduct Scheme gives us an availability of a process to be able to do that. We are not trying to turn everyone into investigators. It is quite the opposite. We want everyone to understand their part and know where their responsibility stops and where our formal organisational process begins. The scheme identifies 6 categories of reportable conduct. But for all of you here today, we don't need everybody to be leaving understanding all of the requirements. We want you to remember that it's very, very simple. If you see something, hear something, a child tells you something, or something simply causes you concern, we just want you to speak up. You don't need to prove it. You don't need to investigate it. You don't need to decide whether it legally meets the definition of reportable conduct. There are formal processes for that. That's not your role. What we ask of all of you today. This is probably the most important thing that we are going to share with you and that we want you to remember. If you are sitting in church having a coffee, helping out an event, talking with a family or interacting with a child, and something concerns you, please speak up. Come to Nicole or myself. You don't need to prove it. You don't need to decide whether somebody has done something wrong, and you shouldn't investigate it yourself. Speaking up, just so you know, is not an accusation. It's just letting us know so that we can take the process from there. It is actually an act of care. It is saying, I noticed something, and because children matter here at Pine Rivers Vineyard, I'm not going to ignore it. What we want our whole church family to remember today is this. This is where we want to finish and think about where our responsibility stops, and this afternoon we will go into where other people's responsibility starts. We've celebrated the self-assessment and seen that already beautiful children in our care feel safe and a place of belonging. Children feel they belong here. Young adults feel heard. They are listened to. Our broader community feels safe to come as they are. Cultural safety is deeply embedded. Now we need to protect that culture. You don't need to be an expert in legislation. Just remember the 4 things. Notice, listen, take it seriously, and speak up. And know that Nicole and I are here as your safe ministry contacts. We made a commitment the last time that we were together, so that's just up on the screen now. And I think I just want you just to have a little look at that and just remember that what we already do here at Vineyard is keeping children safe. We are just reiterating that and continuing to do the beautiful work that we've already started.